Hi, guys. Welcome back to the NLF Coaching Podcast. Today, we're joined by guest Patrick Mabe. He is the Vice President of Crush It Brands. I've had the pleasure of knowing Patrick for several years now through the fitness industry. But Patrick, talk to us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and talk about the Crush It brand for me.
Yeah. So, as they mentioned, my name is Patrick. I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm a husband, a father of two, with one on the way here in about 4 to 5 weeks. Vice president of Crush It Brands, which Crush It Brands is 3 dietary supplement brands, 10 retail stores, 2 gyms, 2 physical therapy offices, and a bunch of other stuff in between. So we joke, and Doug Miller is the owner, founder, CEO. And so we'll joke that I'm Doug Miller's vice president. So my day-to-day is a lot of the operations of our brands. So working with the brands, making sure that all the staff, is performing at what they need to do. And then I do a lot of the operating side of things. But if Doug needs me for gym stuff, like higher level, bringing in think tank kind of thing, I'll sit in with him and discuss other parts of the business. And then I don't know if I technically still hold pro status, but I'm a former pro natural bodybuilder. Competed in 2013. I got my pro card. 2014, I got my butt kicked by a bunch of older dudes. And then I took 5 years off and then made a pretty good run in 2019 and placed 5th in the heavyweight division. And then I kind of wrapped it up after that. So, yeah, that's kind of like who I am.
Awesome. So in terms of the fitness industry in general, how did you personally get into fitness in the first place? And then what led you to building a career in fitness?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in college, I went to James Madison University in Virginia. And I was a football player in high school. We had a lot of seniors. We were a really good team, and I wasn't the starting guy. So what that created in me was like, I got to get better. I got to get stronger. I got to get faster. And so I became obsessed with the weightlifting program that we had. So in high school, all I did was I played football, and then in the off season, I lifted weights. I was in the weight room 3 times a week with the team. And I was really naturally good at the form stuff. And so I might not have been the strongest, but the coaches always used me as like, hey, do it this way, like Patrick's doing it. And so I kind of always naturally was good at lifting weights. So then when I went to college, I was introduced to Lane Norton actually in bodybuilding.com and became like really really got into natural bodybuilding. I didn't look at IFBB. I wasn't into the Muscle and Fitness and not Muscle and Fitness, Flex Magazine, yeah. Muscular Development was another one. I was following bodybuilding.com and Lane Norton. So I did some of his programs through that and got hooked. And I remember somebody was asking me in the gym in college, what do you want to do with this? I was like, I don't know, man, but like if I can turn my career into this, that'd be sweet. I didn't know what that meant when I said that. So it's just kind of interesting how God works in mysterious ways. And so I pursued fitness after college. I was like, this is where I want to be. I want to be in the gym. So I got my personal training certificate. I was doing personal training at a gym. And then I naturally kind of always been a salesman. My dad's been in sales. So I started selling gym memberships at that gym after that. And then I got an opportunity to go to Northern Virginia and be a fitness manager at a Gold's Gym. And so I was there for like 6 months, and I was taking some core nutritionals products, for my preps, and Kurt Widener was coaching me. And, he's a grandfather in the space now. And yeah. He was like, hey, I just saw Doug posted a Facebook post about looking for a manager for his retail store. I just thought I'd send it your way. I was like, well, what's it hurt to send my resume to Doug Miller? Like I look up to the guy. He broke the internet a year back, when he posted his back shot and came out, and he was competing in 19. No, I'm sorry. This is 2013. And so I sent my resume to him, and then I hit it off. I became the manager of the Arlington Nutrition Corner in 2015. So we had one brand and 3 stores. And once I got into that retail store, everything just seemed to make sense. I could touch the thing that I love, the supplement, right? Like I could touch it. I could present it to somebody and talk to about it. Selling personal training for me felt like, and you might relate, might feel like sometimes empty promises to a certain clientele, like because it's up to them to really buy in and do the things to get the result. Where like for me, like I could present this and touch this and like give it to them, and then they could buy it and then come back to me and tell me like, man, I loved it, that worked, or this and that. And I could still give training and nutrition advice in that setting. So it all kind of like came to life right there in that retail store. And so then I just, as Doug's a serial entrepreneur and he kept pursuing, and I just kept saying yes to whatever opportunity he put in front of me. And so I was the sales manager for in 2017 for Core. And then we just kept expanding, and I kept taking on more roles. And then, about a year or two ago, I got into more of a general vice president role for then. So just my relentless pursuit of fitness kind of like just landed me here,
Yeah, it's awesome. I always think that the bodybuilding and having a disciplined routine around like your own fitness journey translates really, really well to how somebody's going to be in a career field as well. And it seems like that's been like the case for you. You got an opportunity and you ran with it. So like when you first took over the management of that supplement store, did you have any idea that it would turn into what it has been today and how big the company's gotten?
No clue. I was going to get to this and you kind of teed it up. I just was on a passion. I just was nothing. When I went to college, my mom's a CFO, big business wig, right? Like, So like business to me was like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. But going into that business school felt like so foreign. It felt like another language. It just like, especially in school. And I'm not a book guy. I just talked to a colleague about this. I'm a doer. Like I'll just do. And I'll learn as I go, and I fail and I learn and I fail. I don't really learn by studying the book, right? Like I just do the thing and then learn it. And so I had no clue, man. I was just really into training, supplements, bodybuilding, and I just pursued it. And I knew I wasn't able to be an athlete for a career. Like I knew that. But if I could be around it, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was going to be happy with. And so, luckily enough, like it all worked out. Like I remember when I told my parents I was going to work in a retail store, for dietary supplements, they were kind of like, you went to college to that, but they support me no matter what. That's the great thing about my parents. It's like, okay, go do what you think you need to do. And so I just was a relentless passion pursuit that led to like a wonderful career, and then if I'm not doing this with this company and with Doug, I'm probably outside of the industry. I probably, now that I've been in the industry for so long, I don't know if I want to stay in it. If this didn't work out, which it's going to work out, I'm going to be here probably until I die. But it's really worked out for me, so if anybody listening, like I don't have the secret to get into the supplement industry, but I just knew that I was passionate about it. And my start wasn't like I was making a bunch of money. I was a retail guy. Like I had to start there. But I gave it my all. I turned that store into what would have been $1 million store. And just made whoever was, employing me see that like this guy's got something, and I just kept going,
Yeah, took an opportunity to ran with it. That's
right.
Awesome. I think our stories are kind of similar. I think it's like funny how God puts like people in your life and things work out how they're supposed to, because kind of similar in myself in the personal training industry. If I hadn't crossed paths with Will and Todd through like the OCB, I was still in Virginia at the time when I met them through the Queen City show. Like I might not be in the industry myself anymore, but just like kind of meeting the right people and getting opportunities can just go a long ways if you say yes to things.
Yeah. And betting on yourself, right? Believing in yourself. Like I'm capable of great things. I just need to like put in some work in this time and prove to somebody that I'm capable of some great things. And hopefully you align yourself with somebody that can see that, and then they can see that potential, and then they help elevate you and you elevate them, and it all works out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Hard work and having good people in your corner goes a long ways.
Right.
So in regards to your role as the VP of Crush It Brands, like what does a day in the life look like for you now? And how has that evolved over the past few years as your role has changed within the company?
My door's closed. But even if it's closed, it means people are still trying to come in. So a lot of my day is really, and this has been a passion shift in what I do, right? It's funny you ask, because like what makes me tick, and like I used to think, and we even kind of started off, it was the supplements and it was bodybuilding and it was working out, but really it's helping people, like that's the root of what I want to do, is help people reach a goal. And so in the retail store, I was able to help people reach their goals, whatever it was. If they wanted to get stronger, they wanted to lean out, they wanted to get bigger, I got some supplements and I got some knowledge, and we can help make that happen. Even at the personal training aspect, like I wanted to help people, achieve their goal through personal training. And then I got into the sales side, and it started to look different, right? Like I'm helping retailers like No Limits themselves, right? Or, the Nutrition Corners or whoever it is, Natural Body up in New York, or these retailers. I'm helping them, but it was more business transaction. It was more just like selling the product, they're buying the product. And then I only got like that helping fix when I would do demos and shows and expos, where like I'm really communicating with the client, with the end consumer, and really making an impact that way. And then I got put into this more general role where like, man, my job is to help our staff win, help them elevate. Like, so now my joy is trying to get, a young 20-year-old that's come after college in his startup career, help him elevate within here. And if he doesn't last 5 years or even 2 years, hopefully in that 1 to 2 years that he was here, he or she, they've gained enough knowledge where they can take that and go win somewhere else. So like a day in my life, man, is like, I have some stuff that I got to do, like operationally and busy work, right? But a lot of it is really trying to help the team around me elevate, get better, win in their department within the company, so that way we can all win together, So a lot of it is just serving my team. That's a lot of what I'm doing now, and trying to build it, trying to maintain a culture, right? Like we have standards that we want to uphold and keep. So trying to maintain that. So really it's a lot of like team building and culture building. It's kind of what, kind of how I see it, my day to day.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you've got a lot of skin in the game and years doing this, so you can provide a lot of value to the next generation of guys joining onto your team to kind of maintain that culture and build upon what you guys have done over the last 10 years. It's really cool. So going into the business a little bit more, obviously in supplements, you guys are pretty heavily involved with sponsorships of shows, fitness expos and things of that nature. Are you still pretty heavily involved in that side of things? And what does that look like within the company?
Yeah, I am. I got more heavily recently because a staff member of us went to do something else, and he was our athlete ambassador and events manager. And we didn't immediately replace that role, so a lot of that came onto me. So I'm kind of technically managing a lot of the athletes, ambassadors, and events. How we've done events has definitely changed over the years. Like in the early years, I mean, we were at every natural bodybuilding show possible. Like we grew through the natural bodybuilding community. And we were selling at a lot of these events too. And we would sell really great numbers at some of these shows. But then like everything changes, right? Like that, what I see in this industry, and I think in most, is like every 6 months to a year, things move so fast, right? Like how people buy, what they buy, what the trends are, what the new thing is. And so adapting to that it comes even into retail shows or the selling at an event or a show. Like it might not look like me selling somebody on a product that day, but it might be giving them a great experience and then trying to get their it's like customer acquisition, right? Trying to get their email, their phone number, and then get them into our funnel. And so that way they have access to us once they leave. And then we can hit them with, opportunities to purchase after that. So like the selling at an event has definitely changed. But like I would say we're a bodybuilding brand. That's where we started. We are still a bodybuilding brand, but we've become very much a general population brand now as well. So like really we try to cater to everybody, right? Like so whether it's a grandparent that's just trying to keep their bones healthy and take their multivitamins and stuff like that, all the way down to the youth with our new Hydrate Big League Chew collaboration, who's 13 years old playing sports all the time, and they love Big League Chew, and now they can take it in a hydration product. So really we hit like every demographic there is, but we're still rooted in bodybuilding. So we don't participate in as many bodybuilding shows as we used to, but I'm trying to always stay cognizant of like making sure that we are giving back to our roots. So although we might not be physically at a bodybuilding show, if a promoter reaches out to us, more than likely, if it fits and makes sense, which is more than likely, we are sending out samples for the goodie bags, maybe giving some products for the winners. We still try to stay pretty involved as best we can. And, we used to not participate as much in the NPC or the IFBB as well. But the layout of that has changed as well. And, we have a really top athlete now who's top 12 last year Olympian, hopefully top 10 this year. And so like our exposure to the NPC IFBB has changed. So we try to stay involved in those shows as well. But it's all about return on investment as well, right? Like there's a cost to doing these bodybuilding events, and it's not just the cost of the booth space. It's the cost of sending a person to that city. It's a cost of getting the product there. It's an evaluation all the time of like, are we going to get a return on doing that show, and we can't really sell as much as maybe we used to at the shows, but if we can get customer acquisition, if we can get 50 new customers, then we probably can get that return pretty fast. So that's kind of all it changed over the years, I would say.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, I think you guys have always been really generous in supporting our shows. My wife and I promote a show in Knoxville, and you guys have always been eager to help sponsor our show with goodie bags and supplements for the athletes. So it's always much appreciated. And you guys are always, in my opinion, still very heavily involved, and it makes it.
Yeah. And I think, it comes down to relationships too, right? Like there's going to the OCB, right? There's certain people that we made connections and relationships with over the years where like they're very meaningful, they're very valuable. And so like for you guys, like, yeah, the answer is always yes. Like, of course, like we value what you guys do. We always want to be a part of that. But then sometimes you get cold emails for asking to promote a show that you don't have a relationship with. And those are much more like we have to process more if it's actually worth it to just support a random bodybuilding show that just came to us out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the marketing side of things, I know one thing I wanted to touch on that you mentioned was the ever like adapting market of the fitness industry. And I think it's very relatable in like what our side of things, like personal training side of things, but also supplements. It's always changing and adapting. There's always trends, and the way people are approaching things is always changing every year. How do you guys stay on top of that side of things to make sure that you're continuing to push the ceiling for the company and be cutting edge with marketing, products, things of that nature?
You gotta be a student of the game. You gotta study it yourselves. You gotta really get the right people on your team too. So I think Dave Reinecke. Yeah. He's our director of research and development, and he's a stud. Like, he doesn't sleep. He's always studying trends. He's studying like he's bringing. There's a very new trend that's going around. I'll even say it. I think it's like specifically fiber. Like, fiber might be the next creatine in a way, and he's already formulated a product potentially for that. If we want to do it right, like, so like you have to study a little bit of the trends, and you get a lot of that information in working with your good partners in manufacturing, right? Like, so you're working with obviously the co-man that's making your product, but you're also working with ingredient suppliers. There's now trade shows around just ingredients, right? So not just like displaying an end product, but displaying a specific patented ingredient that has studies behind it. And so you really got to stay just up to date. And me personally, I don't do that, but what we try to get is like somebody on our team that their role is to study the game more and be involved in it. And Dave's a stud when it comes to that, and he does way more than just that for our team. So it's just really just putting people in the right place to be able to do that. But you got to study the game and study the trends and use your network that we have. After 20 plus years of being around, people are coming to you with stuff. Like, hey, there's this ingredient coming up. Like, we would love to see it in one of your products. And then we decide if there's a fit for it or not.
Awesome. Yeah, I think just you nail it when you said having people in place with knowing like what people on your team's strengths are and having them in the appropriate roles to do that makes a huge difference in how a company operates, for sure.
Yeah, and there another piece of that is like, does it fit your portfolio? Like, and sometimes, like, let's just take creatine for example.
Mm-hmm.
Creatine got big again. We all know that. We all understand that. The most simple way to do it is just take a creatine monohydrate that's unflavored and just throw it in your protein shake and just throw it in your whatever and just take it, right? And we believe in that, and we might, like, that's the best way to do it. But there became a trend of like, well, maybe you should flavor it. Well, maybe you should put it into a chew. Maybe you put it into a gummy bear, and you do all these things. And we have to evaluate, like, do we want to get involved with that? Or do we want to? So you have to balance, like, all right, there's a demand for something. How can core nutritionals meet that demand, but still do it? That's where it's authentic to who we are, right? Where like, so we, like when it came down to consumable creatine, there was a bunch of stuff going around where like consumable creatines were not passing tests, right? Like, I think specifically around gummy versions of creatine. And that's because when you take a gummy, you have to heat it. You have to heat the gelatin-like stuff to get it to form into the thing that you want it to look like or to be. Well, in that heating process, the ingredients that are there started to dissipate. So that doesn't fit who we are, because we're not going to put a product out that doesn't pass third-party testing. So we went with the creatine chew, which was a tablet. It's not necessarily like a chewy. It's more like a hard rock candy, like a spree. And because it's a cold process where like you take creatine, you take a little bit of like dextrose or dextrin, and you add those things together and you compress it into a tablet. And so now the actives stay intact, and the product actually specs out more than what the label claim is. So we stuck to who we are by making sure that product meet third-party label claims. It fits all of our values and who we are, but we also met the demand of a consumer by wanting a candy creatine, right? So you just as a company, we have to balance like what the demand is. Can we make it happen? And maybe we can meet in the middle to where like it fits our brand, because we won't just do something to do it. It's got to meet all these requirements that make up who we are.
Yeah, it has to check with like your guys' style and your culture and
right.
What you're known for. That makes a lot of sense. So that kind of ties in well to one of the questions that we had for you today in terms of like supplements. So what's a part of like the supplement industry you think people misunderstand or overlook when it comes to the behind the scenes of the business of supplements?
Um, so on the business side, you'll see a lot of unhealthy people. Like I was exposed to that pretty fast when I was doing sales trips. Like I'm still bodybuilding Patrick. I'm still like, in like I'm gonna compete soon. Like, I'm just a machine. And then I get around like sales guys and like they're just unhealthy. They eat out like they're on the road, so it's just they're eating out all the time. They're not like, working out. Maybe if I get a chance, but it becomes more of like just a normal job, right? Like just a sales job, right? So like like maybe a car salesman, like they have a tough lifestyle where like they're at their job for 10, 12 hours a day and they have a busy life outside of that and they let themselves go. So you even though it is a industry driven around fitness, nutrition, training, supplementation, you still see a lot of unhealthy people. A lot of them, like you get around an expo, you go to an expo, you have your business meetings, people are partying, they're partying, they're staying, they're hitting the bar till late at night, and then they're getting up early and going to meetings. And that doesn't fit our lifestyle. Like we're the guys that we're going to the gym, we're training, and then we get up early and hit the expo. So I don't know if that's a surprise. That's the first thing that came to my mind. But like when I started traveling and I was still green, I'm like, man, there's a lot of people. A lot of people are kind of fat slobs, for a lack of a better term. So that might be something that people might find interesting. That
I think
just like any other industry, it's a job to people, and they don't really take the training and nutrition aspect as serious as you may think.
Yeah, I think that's extremely relatable and translates over to like the fitness coaching side of things too, because I think people look at us working in a gym like, oh, they must be like on top of their game, training for 2.5 hours a day, like on top of their diet. But again, it's like it's a fast-paced, high-stress industry where like sometimes when you get into this side of things, like your own fitness journey takes a backseat to others because you're pouring into other people. Same with you guys, like you're on the road, you're pushing the business, you're doing meetings, travel, all that stuff. So like your own health can take a backseat sometimes. I think people definitely overlook that in both of our fields, is that there's just a lot more behind the scenes than people realize. It's not just selling a product. It's not just doing a personal training session. Like there's a lot of back end work that goes into these things that does take up quite a bit of your day.
Yeah. Like, I mean, on the personal training side, I've experienced a little bit, and even our gym side, like I talk to our general manager all the time. There's so many times where he said like, man, I almost want to get a different membership to a different gym because like I feel like I can't train here. Like I get bothered. And when I'm putting my big headphones on and like I'm trying to get my time in to train, it's always something, and you wouldn't think that. Like, why does the personal trainer need to leave the gym to work out? Well, it's because you won't leave me alone. Like yes. My training session is my training session. So I want my time. I'm off the clock. I'm working for myself, but that's a surprise to some people,
Yeah, I think people don't understand that because like from the majority of the population, they're coming into the gym it's their social time. They're going to see their friends, they're going to hang out. They're working out, but they're also like, it's their social setting. And then for us, it's like, this is our professional setting. And that's a hard boundary for people to kind of understand.
Yeah.
If they're not in it already.
Yeah.
So I wanted to transition away from the CrossFit brand a little bit and talk a little bit about your fitness journey and kind of let's talk first about kind of how you got into competitive bodybuilding, because obviously you got into strength training through sport, and then that eventually led to you getting into competitive bodybuilding. So what was that journey look like? And how has that adapted over the years? Because I know now you've kind of transitioned away from the bodybuilding, but let's first hear about your origin with bodybuilding first.
Yeah, so when I went to college, that first semester, I think I just kind of like went with the flow, trying to figure out this new thing, right? And I was always active. I played all the sports, did weightlifting. Mm-hmm. So I found myself into the gym, and then somebody introduced bodybuilding.com and Lane Norton to me, So I started getting into that. But I think what I tell this joke kind of sometimes. All right, so it comes around this dieting part, this like what I eat thing. Like it really starts to matter now. And so you're a freshman in college, you're living in a dorm, your access to kitchens and stuff like that is very minimal. So I was living off of a canned chicken and salsa. And I had, two punches a day. We called them punches at JMU. So I'd go and I'd choose some good options, at there, like sandwich or salad, or like I would, just stock up on protein. But then those other meals in between, and I only had a fridge and I didn't have much way to cook. So like just canned chicken, salsa, cottage cheese at night. And I got some of those tips, just learning through bodybuilding.com, like high protein stuff. But what that did was it put me in a deficit pretty fast because I wasn't eating much. I was just eating chicken and salsa. And I saw my abs for like the first time ever in my life. And I was like, I could do this. This is sick, dude. Like I was always a chunkier kid. I was always just healthy. Like my mom always jokes like, we weren't worried about you, but like, you just like seconds, you just always went back to the table and got more food. So I was a stocky kid. So I never really like I had body fat that I had, carried through high school. So when I was able to like get my body fat down and see some abs, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like I like the way I look. What does this look like? And so then I just started studying the bodybuilding game, and I just got hooked, man. I naturally had this like discipline thing about me. And so then when I got sophomore year, when we got into an apartment or a townhouse, like now I have access to crock pots and skillets, and it was game on. And then it was bulking season by that time. And it was just trying to gain muscle and size and get stronger. So like I got hooked on bodybuilding in college. I still played around and partied and stuff, but I was, Monday through Friday, I was hitting the gym and eating and training. So then I got hooked up with somebody from Virginia Tech. And once I got out of college, I knew I wanted to like compete. Like I think I worked so hard to do all this in college. Now I'm like, I'm taking this serious. I want to compete. So I got hooked up with Kurt Widener, and I just jumped right in and started doing his training programs. He coached me, and all the tissue that I'd built up since I was 13, 14 years old. And then through all the bodybuilding stuff I did, really showed on stage. And, if you know Kurt Widener, he gets shredded. And so he pushes his conditioning really hard. And so I was to the bone shredded and did well and got my pro card my first year. And so I was just hooked. So, and, I had my struggles post show as like I had some binging stuff going on after my first show, like a lot of us might have. Kurt helped work me through that. Jumped into another season, made some improvements. And then it was like, okay, now I got career focused. And then it took me 5, and then I had an injury, and then it took me 5 years to get back to the stage, which was good. In natural bodybuilding, we all understand that it takes time. So I didn't compete again. So I did 13, 14, and then 2019.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to highlight on that you mentioned there was the post-show rebound phase. So this is an area that I think our listeners could get a lot out of, because post-show reverse dieting is, in my opinion, it's the hardest part of prep. It's the hardest part to be consistent with. It's one of the hardest things as a coach, too, to help an athlete with. So what was your experience with post-show binge eating, and how did Kurt kind of coach you through that? What's your experience with that side of things been like?
So as the athlete, one thing that I learned that I can reflect on now is that I was living in a sin, right? Like I was like doing this thing behind the curtain, I was sneaking downstairs, and everybody go to bed. I'd sneak back downstairs. And I would just get in the pantry and find anything that I could find, right? Dipping stale marshmallows and peanut butter and just, making yourself sick, right? Like, and then I would go to bed, feel all this regret, and then try to do it myself. Man, all right, just get back on the diet. Like, you can do it. And then I would just fall back into a bad cycle. So just like I think in our sin, I think we need to address it. I think we need to communicate with somebody. I think we need to seek wise counsel and lean on somebody. And so when I finally got the courage to admit to Kurt that I had done these things, he was like, okay, that's all good. Why don't we introduce like a Wednesday cheat meal and a Saturday cheat meal, and then just get back on the program? Like maybe let's help yourself out in the middle. Let's like to get yourself out of this, like you need something different, because that's all it was. It's like you're kind of in the hardcore diet, and then you kind of want something different.
You've been
and he gave me a lot of relief and gave me grace and like helped kind of get me out of it. And then I think after that, I started to learn more about flexible dieting. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to make my meals more fun. Like I had more macros to work with. So like I started to veer away from like maybe the specific meal that maybe he wanted me to eat. And I started introducing like other things, like using more sugar-free syrup to make like a fun oatmeal thing, or just starting to just explore what flexibility in dieting meant. And then it takes time and experience. Like the first time was the worst. I had a little bit with my second time, but then my third time, I was so flexible in my dieting approach to that show, to that season, that like I didn't have any, and I didn't have any like crazy problem in binging stuff afterwards because I was so flexible. And I was more experienced, and it was planned. Like I think what happens a lot of times is that you don't plan the post show enough and meet the post show enough that the competitor is not ready. They're not ready to take on what this looks like afterwards. I mean, dude, I remember winning my pro card at 23, 2013, and coming in Monday to work, and people were like high-fiving me and all this. But I was such an emotional wreck. I was crying. I had to like leave work, and it was so unexpected. But it was because like the thing was over, and I did not know what to do with myself. Like I didn't have a plan. Like I didn't have a thorough plan to get back. Like this was my training plan, and this is the dieting plan, and we're just going to get right back into the new plan. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have that, so I was lost. So I crashed, So I think that's the biggest thing, is if you can be flexible and also plan for what you're going to do after the show is over.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important parts of communication between an athlete and a coach is like getting ready and mentally prepared for that post-show phase, because you hit the nail on the head. Like if you don't have that conversation, have a plan in place for what that next stage is going to look like. You've gone from I have a deadline of getting on stage, I'm going to be judged for how lean I am, to I've got nothing to work towards. And just like mentally, that can really fry somebody after 6 to 7 months of rigid dieting. And like you said, the more flexible approach is also a great way to go about it, because I think it's so outdated, the old school, like chicken and rice, broccoli diet. Like there's so much more information out there and ideas online you can get access to on how to actually intuitively eat and diet your way to show conditioning, that I think has made a big difference on people's like mindset around food and some of those disordered eating habits, which is great.
And like at the same time, the dieting, the what you're going to eat aspect, but then like letting the athlete know that like, hey dude, like, or lady, there's going to be some body fat you're going to start to feel again. Like it's going to come back. Like that's good. It's okay. Right. Like it needs to happen. Right. Like you need to get your hormones back. You need to get your strength back up. Like, and we need some of that fat tissue back. And I remember struggling with that. Like I'm looking at the mirror for so long and seeing this physique, this way for so long. Coming out of that was really hard. And I just think it needs to be talked about more, especially with new athletes, right? That's the biggest thing,
Yeah, I think exposing people to those conversations, because like you always have to remember too that the athlete just like probably feels a lot of pressure to not let you down as the coach. So it's like it's up to the coach to make sure that those conversations are had, because the athlete might try to keep a wall up about certain things, and it's the coach's job to break down those barriers and have those organic conversations about those important topics.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah. So transitioning away from that, I did want to talk a little bit. We got a bit more time. I wanted to talk about your transition away from bodybuilding into more functional training, and obviously your role as a husband and a father, and then kind of how you've tied your faith into all those walks. I'd like to dive into that a little bit today as well.
Yeah. I herniated my L4, L5 in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in the middle of that 5-year off season. So I was introduced to physical therapy then. And I learned a lot like around like prehab and like core stability and stuff like that to try to hip mobility, trying to, keep the back healthy. And I was able to come through that. But really in 2019, I did that whole prep really like, not with a bad back, but like very nervous to do big lifts, or anything kind of crazy. So I did a lot of it just with like machine work. I really didn't put a barbell on my back for like the longest time. Then after that 2019 season, my back was good, and I'm trying to like approach a new, bodybuilding training, trying to introduce some new lifts. But after that show, man, I had the worst epicondylitis. So like golfer's elbow on this ball of the elbow on both of my elbows. Like I couldn't even open a jar of pickles. It was so bad. And that hindered pulling like crazy, even pressing a little bit. And so then COVID happened, and around 2021, March of 2021, I knew we were moving to North Carolina. I kind of just said this, like, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired of being injured. I'm tired of like doing all this stuff. Like I can't, I want to explore something else. So I did, we all know Jeff Cook, the Cook Fitness team in North Carolina. He did this thing of like 30 tough things to do in March. Like there's 30 days in March. You do 30 different things that challenge you. And so I did that. And a lot of it was like, you're going to run a mile, then you're going to run 3 miles, then you're going to run 5 miles, and then you're going to do something. It was like all this different stuff. And so it kind of helped me at least start to explore other things. So then I came down here to North Carolina, and I'm trying to help me with my elbows. And then I discovered a really good physical therapist who is now the owner of Crush It Athletics and Physical Therapy. He works with us now. And so he opened my eyes to functionality, right? Like he is an athlete first. He was a lacrosse player who got injured, who then turned his whole life into physical therapy. And he helped me explore like just different styles of movement. And he taught me like rope flow and mace work, doing more stuff with kettlebells, more like explosive stuff. And so in the same time, I'm exploring like what does life look like after bodybuilding, because I decided like I kind of think I'm done. I want to, focus on career, focus on family, and I kind of want to explore new things. But I need a goal. Like I'm a goal guy. I still got to have a goal. So I found the tactical games. I got into shooting during COVID. There was a range that was still open. So my wife and I's date night was sushi in the range. It was the same 2 places that were like barely open. There, not so much stuff open, but that was our date night. We would just go to the range, go get some sushi. And that became like, man, I like this. And then I found the tactical games, and I'm like, whoa, okay, fitness and shooting. Well, like this is cool. And so then just like Patrick does, I just dove straight into that and just became obsessed and got really into it. Did a few regional events, and then I threw my back out. And so here I go back into physical therapy, back of resetting. And I think those moments of like resetting made me like really, all right, just start over, like learn how to move, learn how to like prepare your body for whatever you want to put it through better. And so that second reset of my back really took me back to like a place of like kind of just resetting myself. And so now like I'm pretty healthy. And now I have a third kid on the way. And so we made a garage gym when I moved here. We have the best equipment in the world next to me. But my favorite thing is to work out in my garage. And it actually challenges my mind because I don't have that much equipment. So now I have to be more creative. So I get like I get that endorphin rush from physical training, but I also get it from mentally training because now I have to be more creative. My son, he wakes up first and he's more mobile than my daughter. He just finds his way, finds out where daddy is, and he comes in, he opens the garage door, and there I am, and he's just hanging out with me while I'm training. So, my training is like, how can I move better for longer? And how can I involve my family? And so I don't really have a goal right now. I think I want to look into the tactical games next year again. But it's just making sure that I'm doing, 3 to 4, about 4 times a week. I'm doing some type of resistance training, but I dedicate one full day to just mobility, functionality, flowing. And then the other 3 days are like a push-pull legs where I'm still trying to do some bodybuilding movements and keep hypertrophy involved. But yeah, it was just a lot of exploring. Just like I think I'm done with bodybuilding because I want to be more mobile, more functional. I want to be able to get on the floor with my kids, not hurt. And I started just exploring new movement, exploring the internet, using resources through physical therapy. And that's kind of how I came to be here. So I was like 187 on stage in 2019, and I walk around like 190 now. So that's a very interesting thing, and it was a lot of wrestling with like this. I've lost a lot of muscle tissue. Like, still got a lot of muscle tissue, but I lost a lot because, like I'm 3 pounds away from my old stage weight. It's kind of crazy just to think that way. So just an interesting fact.
Yeah, it's great you've been able to get to that happy medium where you're okay with that transitioning phase. I think for a lot of athletes, it's a struggle when you walk away from bodybuilding. Like, it's almost like an identity crisis. Like, well, all right,
Totally.
This bodybuilding thing has consumed so much of my routine, with my diet, my training, my sleep, my recovery. How do I transition away and just focus on general health? Like, who am I away from bodybuilding? I think that's an area a lot of people struggle with, and it's really cool that you've been able to find peace with it and then really run with it.
Yeah, and then so like I struggled with that. Like, it was a big struggle, and I got Doug Miller walking around here, like one of the best natural bodybuilders to walk, right? So like,
yeah,
and they're doing their hardcore bodybuilding training, and even like a slight jab or like a joke, what are you doing today, bro? You flowing, dude? You just in here flowing? And it would, like, even though they didn't mean it, but they're just having fun, it would eat me alive. Like they're kind of like, I feel like I'm getting made fun of because,
sure.
like, I'm not living the bodybuilding thing that they might still be living. And so there was a wrestling period, and that identity was 100%. It was a struggle for a while. So I think, like, where you talked about leaning, the faith side, it's like, as Christians, whatever we do. So Colossians 3:23 is our little bit of our, it's kind of here, right? So like, whatever your work may be, do it to glorify God, not for man, right? And so this thing that you're doing, right? So let's just say it's bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
It can become an idol, right? Like Jordan, me and him talk about this all the time. He is the top of the top in the IFB Olympian. And he prays every single day that, Lord, if you want to take this from me, you can. It's your will. It's not mine. Please help me to not idolize this thing. Let me not idolize my body, right? Like, so like the identity that you might feel that I was feeling, it doesn't exist in like what my body looks like. It exists in how I'm glorifying God with whatever that I'm doing, right? So like, I can talk about it now because I'm out of that struggle. But like, if you're in that struggle, just remember that whatever you're doing is to glorify God. It's not to glorify yourself or to glorify somebody else. So like, just remember that like your identity is in Christ. It's not in the way you look or how you placed or whatever it is. And then like, how much is it consuming yourself? Like for me, like, I don't want to be in the gym 2 hours a day anymore. Like 45 minutes, like, and I want to be near the house so that way I can be closer to my kids, so it's just these things that you just have to figure out with yourself, like as you pursue in fitness. And if it's not bodybuilding, what is it? And at the end of the day, it's working out and training and nutrition should be all about, feeling good and not just about like how you look on stage,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great advice. And definitely, I think probably touches home with a lot of people. I think that bodybuilding can easily become an idol and become very consuming. I think it's a great tool, but finding how to navigate post bodybuilding life is it's a valuable thing. And I'm glad that you found that, man.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, that's all we have time for today. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast. For our listeners, where can they find you on social media?
My Instagram is mr.patrick.mabe. If you search Patrick Mabe, you should be able to find me.
Okay.
That's pretty much the only thing I kind of rock is Instagram.
Simple enough.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, this will be going live in a few weeks. So we'll collaborate it with you and tag you in it so that people can follow you along with your journey with Crush It Brands.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick.